Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Mortal Citizens, a Cities of Sigmar focused podcast. So, you might notice something a little bit different. This episode might be a little bit longer than the last couple. It also might feature some non Cities of Sigmar related stuff. I've generally decided to expand a bit more into my general hobby as well as just some generic hobby stuff. But, of course, it also will have a massive feature on Cities of Sigmar, which is my favourite army, and the army I intend to play in competitive play for quite some time going forward. Anyway, so without further ado, what's on the screen that you can see is just some visual aids for me to remember what to talk about. So let's get into what we're talking about. And of course, the first stuff we're going to get into is the news, and that is the Christmas Day news that we got that Aether War is coming. Aether War is going to be a dual box set coming alongside two brand new battle tomes for Disciples of Tzeentch and Kharadron Overlords, which of course will be in the Aether War set together. Aether War will also feature two brand new characters, a Magister on Disc of Tzeentch and an Endron Master with some Balloon Boy sort of harness thing. Can't remember what it's called. And they'll also come along some Tzaangor Skyfires or Enlightened, Tzaangors on discs, and Screamers, and then some Balloon Boys and a Gun Hauler on the Kharadron side. So it looks like a pretty good box. There's no actual price out for it or any rumours, but going on what Feast of Bones was, perhaps 265 Australian potentially. That's what I would think. Sorry, I don't know what that translates to in other currencies. Obviously, there are some discrepancies in price and stuff, so don't go straight out translating it, or you'll probably find it's higher than everything else everywhere else in the world. But that's really news, and so let's talk about this a bit, because it's been rumoured for a while that this box set is coming, and it's a pretty darn cool box set. Like, both these characters are amazing. You can go find higher res pictures, although they're pretty high res, the ones I've got up here. You can find bigger pictures and expand them better outside. You can go into Warhammer Community and find them. But I'm really excited for this. I have a Kharadron Overlords army. Obviously, I play Cities of Sigmar, so Kharadron Overlords are really cool, and can be added to, obviously, some Tempest Eye armies, so there's something in there for Cities of Sigmar, which is cool. And Disciples of Tzeentch, an interesting army as well. Like, I have a Tzeentch army as well. I mean, there's not any armies I don't own, really. Most people find I'm painting something different every week, and we'll get on to that. But, yeah, I'm really excited. What's interesting is both these armies at one point were the boogeyman in the meta. They're both coming out back together. I mean, these old armies that were the boogeyman are now sort of waned away a bit, but they're still strong in particular builds like Change Host, and obviously people like Cancron doing really well. For those who don't know, Cancron is a good friend of mine, and I get to play against his Chaos in a decent amount. Maybe not as much recently, but hopefully get some more games in against him, and we'll get on to more of that soon as well. But yeah, I think this is going to be a really good book. Really good box. I hope both these armies are good. Little bit of speculation. There's no battle line currently out of anything that's shown in that box set. So maybe we're going to see some battle line potentially. Maybe the Gun Hauler battle line. Maybe that Balloon Boy character for the KO is going to make the Sky Wardens and Endron Riggers, or potentially one or the other, battle line, which would be cool. Being able to do all flying armies and combat armies of KO, because I recently did look into doing a KO army, and I came across a colour scheme for Barak Zon, I believe. It's probably like what I think is the coolest colour scheme in the book, and it's all based on getting into combat and all that sort of stuff. It's like, but the KO, so it's like, maybe this will give me, maybe I'll be ahead of the meta in this, and going for some KO combat sort of stuff. Tzeentch, obviously it has the Skyfires or Enlightened Screamers. Not sure what's going to happen there. Maybe Screamers, Battleline, maybe Enlightened and Skyfires. Be cool. Like, we know they're really, Games Workshop is really expanding upon lots of different battle line options for lots of different books. They're really giving you quite a big load of options when it comes to battle line in the newer books, which is cool. But yeah, really excited for Aether War. I guess side notes, there will also be another one of the Sucking Awakenings for 40k. I don't really know much about that, but that's there. One I did notice for 40k that is tempting me is they bring back Dark Vengeance, like made to order. Not so much the Dark Angel stuff from there, but I thought the Chaos Marines that came with that when I used to have them were fantastic sculpts. Like the Chaos Chosen there are absolutely amazing. Yeah, so looking forward to that. Might grab one of those, depends. It's a bit close to Christmas and a bit close to the wedding, so might not be able to afford it, but it'd be really cool if I could get one. The Chaos models would be fun to paint. But I think that's really all for the news for this episode. So next we're going to jump into a little bit of my own personal hobby time. And so what have I been working on? Well, I've been painting up some Skaven. For those who don't know, Skaven were actually my first army way back when. And I just got a little bit sidetracked on my Cities of Sigmar because I don't really have any tournaments to paint up for near. So I've just been enjoying myself with painting lately. Like painted up Skaven, I painted up a Arch Warlock, Warpfire Thrower. I'm now working on some Storm Fiends. Also painted up some random characters like a Fungoid Cave Shaman and a Dark Oath War Chieftain. And just having a bit of fun painting at the moment. So there's nothing really. I really need to get cracking on that Cities of Sigmar army. And we'll get on to more on how I'm going to really, I hope, push myself to get some more of that done. Especially on the different builds that I want to run. But yeah, so that's my painting. Not a lot productively being done. There's stuff being done, but nothing really going towards anything. The Skaven is going to be in something. But yeah, Dark Oath War Chieftain is just in case I get him for Warcry. And the Fungoid Cave Shaman. I do have a Gitz army that I need to paint up, but it's probably a little while off on that as well. What's happening on the channel as well? So, first of all, we passed 500 subscribers on the channel, so thank you very much to everyone who has subscribed. We did a Christmas giveaway. You should go see if your name was drawn in that. If you're a subscriber, you were in the draw. If your name was drawn, please do get in contact with me via the Cinderful Gaming Facebook page. All prizes not collected by the end of the year will go into whatever our next draw is. And so, yeah, what's happening on the channel? Well, I've been doing some Old World Lorehammer videos on the Wood Elves. Wood Elves are like one of my favourite things. Yes, there were elves I liked before Scourge Privateers. But Wood Elves were like my first love. I got the models first. Skaven were my first army. Wood Elves were my first models. When I started collecting, Wood Elves were sort of in that phase where the 2006 release had not come out. And so I didn't really have the opportunity to get an army of them until that release. So when I first started, I didn't dive into Skaven. Got sold on the point of Rattling Guns. I mean, what's not cool about medieval Gatling gun? But anyway, so I got some Old World Lorehammer Wood Elves videos going up on the channel. You also might have seen that we've started doing some roleplay games on the channel. So we're going to have RPGs, and that won't just be restricted to the fantasy genres of Warhammer, so Warhammer Fantasy RPG and Warhammer Age of Sigmar Soulbound when it is released. I'll also be looking into doing The One Ring and all the stuff from FFG that was released from Dark Heresy, Black Crusade, Only War, Death Watch, and Rogue Trader. I'll be organising them along the way. More into that soon. And should be having a lot of battle reports coming up on the channel soon. That's what Skaven 4, they're going to be in a Path to Glory against the wife. She'll be using her Daughters of Cain. So we're going to have Skaven versus Daughters of Cain, Path to Glory, husband versus wife. And I should have a bunch of games lined up for my little Christmas break. And we should have some games coming out and battle reports coming out very soon. Most of those will be Cities of Sigmar versus other stuff because all my friends are going to CanCon and they want some practice to get ready for CanCon. And of course I have a Hallowheart army and some other, I guess, popular builds of cities, so they're going to want to play against them. Games played, I haven't actually played any since the last time I talked to you. It's been a bit busy. Got newborn kids. I just did a really big load of work Christmas period as a chef for my day job. It can get quite busy around this period, so leading up to Christmas, I really did not have the energy nor the time to play games. I did do a bit of painting. That's probably why the painting was a bit slack too. But there will be lots of games being played soon, and you'll see battle reports coming up on the channel very soon. So thank you all for your patience in that one. And of course, next year we're really going to try and push into that sort of stuff a lot more as well. And that ties in with what I was mentioning before, stuff I'm going to use to try and get me to paint my models more. That will of course mean battle reports are going to be like a big push, because I'm going to be playing the first few with an barely painted army, and I'm really going to use that as fuel to the fire to get models painted. So give me all the grief, get into me, get me painting stuff. I'm going to try and set myself targets and goals to get that army painted, get the Hallowheart one at least painted on the table, and then we'll start working on other cities' armies after that. And yeah, so yeah, pressure me, totally get into me and rib me about not painting that army, and I will do my best to get it painted for you, because you've all been lovely and supporting, and the least I can do is put some painted armies on the table, and I really want to work towards doing that for you all. Alright, so next up we're going to chat a little bit about the community, and so just some things happening in the community, things that I've been doing, and some stuff I want to get off my chest. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Dadhammer Support Network. So this is something I put up. As a new dad myself, I find it really hard sometimes. It's a hard job being a dad, and I know many people feel the same way I do at particular points, and have had stress or whatever, whether it be about raising them or how your partner's feeling or worries, concerns, whatever. And it's really hard to find people to talk about, and it's like most things that you get stressed about, you just really can't talk about them well with generic sort of people. So the Dadhammer Support Network was put up to have a place for wargaming dads of any wargaming variety. I don't care what they play. 40k, Malifaux, Kings of War, 9th Age, does not matter. And you can go there and find people who do wargaming as well that are also dads and know how you feel and are in the same sort of part of life that you are. You're having kids, you're a gamer, and you just, the balance and just people to talk to that are similar to you. That's really the idea. And it's a safe place for dads to go talk, to unload, to complain, to vent, to find support. Like, this should not be considered like help or any way, and nothing on there should be considered proper professional help in any way, but it's a place where you can go and talk, and the many people on there are fantastic community members that are always willing to give you some help, point you in the right directions for things. We've had people, come and ask for like pram things, and people point going, oh, you should look at this and read this, and or go, oh, what's too early to be introducing this, and you go, oh, look, I've been told this by doctors, and or you should go see a GP about that, and all sorts of stuff. It's just it's a great group. If you're a wargaming dad, go and join it. You'll be more than welcome to come and join, and just have a place where you can chat about dad things with other wargamers that are dads, and they generally will get how you feel. Enough about that though. I don't really think there's much more to say on that. You can find it on Facebook. It's a Facebook group. Should mention that. So just look in Dadhammer Support Network on Facebook. I am the admin of it. And yeah. So yeah, definitely go have a look at that. It's a fantastic community, and one where you can be open and honest and find help, support, and yeah, all the good stuff. So yeah, if you're a dad, go look at it. On a lighter note, and a better note, well, no, the one like before was light. So on a light, no, not that word. On another note, role-playing game roll call. So the role-playing games that we're going to be running on the channel are open for all to come and try. If you've never tried a role-playing game before, if you're an experienced role-play game player, I don't care. As long as you speak English well enough that I can understand you. I mean that in no particular way, like I need to be able to understand what you're saying, so you need to have decent enough English that I can run you through a game. I only speak English, so that's the reason for that. And also you need some sort of audio capacity. You don't need to have a picture. because you can use Skype without or with just a picture. So like camera is beneficial. People can see your face and get your actions a bit better. You can express them with body language and such, but not required. So if you're interested in playing any of the role-playing games, please get in contact with me. I'll try and find a group that matches your time schedule. If there's a particular one of the Warhammer related ones that you're interested in, let me know that as well. And as always, you can contact me through the Cinephiles Gaming Facebook page or DM me on Twitter at DadHammondNeo, or comment below if you're interested, and with a way to contact you, and I'll try and get in contact. We did one, there were a few audio hiccups on the first one, but there's always going to be the way. So hopefully that's sort of passed, and we're learning as we go. There will be a lot more of that coming, and obviously Age of Sigmar Soulbound will be a massive one that we're running. I've got a big campaign played with some fantastic people in the community, including Andrew, who you find on the channel, Outreal Gotrek. He's my co-host on the Native Show. We've also got Mr. Mephisto. If you haven't subscribed to his YouTube channel and you like sort of a late night podcast sort of feel to Warhammer, go check that out. Rantcast, that is fantastic, and Mephisto is a great dude. We also have Ash McEwen, who is a member of Clan Filth in Australia. He's a really good bloke. He's the one in Australia running the Devoted Sigmar, talking to Masters. Really cool player. Bit new to the more role-playing game, but it'd be cool to see what he can do. Trying to remember all my crew. We've got Charlotte Hamilton, who is the person behind the Ratcatchers Guild and now the Soulbound Discord. I'll do links to them down below. They're really cool places you can go to find stuff for the Warhammer related RPGs. Am I missing anyone? I feel like I'm missing one of my players. 1, 2, 3. I feel horrible if I am missing one of my players. I'm going to go double check my Discord server just to make sure I'm not missing any of my players, because that would be horrible of me to forget one of them. And of course it decides it doesn't want to load at this particular moment. Nope, no, that is all. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, cool. There's 5 of us. Cool. Almost forgot. I forgot one there for a second. That would have been really awkward. But yeah, so that'll be the role-playing game stuff. And lastly, Patreon. So when we were doing the role-play game session, and also when I've done a couple of these Mortal Citizen episode, people have been asking if we have a way to help fund the channel a bit more. And at the moment we can't do anything on YouTube because we haven't passed the 1,000 subscribers and all that sort of stuff. So subscribing on the YouTube channel is definitely a big help. But we did decide after some pressure to open up a Patreon. So you can donate as little as $2 or as much as you want on there. And all of that goes back in towards the channel. Will help fund giveaways on the channel. Will help fund new equipment to make the channel better, whether that be for battle reports, role-playing games. Because there's some stuff there we can use to make that better. That is paid subscriptions. I only have so much disposable income to spend on Warhammer, especially with 2 kids. So if you'd like to help, please do go join our Patreon. I'll put a link in the description down below. But I think that's all really for the community stuff. Right, so next part we're going to talk about is we're going to have a little discussion about the FAQ. I meant to get this out a bit earlier, but Christmas and, as I said, work before, all that sort of getting away. So we're just going to run through some of the FAQ changes, and I'm just going to give my thoughts on a bunch of them. So we're just going to run through all the ones as they are on Warhammer Community. And well, another reason I didn't do this to start is because I'm pretty sure some intern got fired over the release of these. They were all over the shop. I did learn to read about 5 new languages and looked at 40k for the first time in forever, thanks to all this FAQ, but it is what it is. It's all up now, so it's all good in the end. And so we're going to start with the Sylvaneth FAQ, so the errata. Allegiance abilities, battle traits, glades. Add the following text. If a model already has a glade keyword, you cannot gain another. I think this is just to stop people with the Underworld's warbands, and I'm pretty sure this is repeated throughout the Beast of Chaos as well and other ones. Designer's commentary. I didn't remember anything being new, and no, there wasn't. So Sylvaneth got pretty much nothing. Errata for Maggotkin of Nurgle. Now this is the big one. This for me was amazing, and I've got friends that play Nurgle and they're really happy about this. All the Blight King and associated characters with those exploding 6 attacks are all now unmodified. Yes, they can't plus them or whatever, but they also can't be taken negatives. It's absolutely fantastic. So that also combined with all of the battalions coming down in points is a really nice benefit to anyone who wants to play Blight Kings. I've got some up on the shelf myself, and it's tempting to go get some more because they are fantastic models. And it's just nice to see finally. I mean, it could have happened so long ago, but finally it's a thing. It's happened, and let's celebrate that it's happened. Not how long it took. Let's celebrate how it's happened. And so there's a question in the FAQ for Maggotkin. When I use Gutrot Spum's Master of the Slime Fleet ability and include a unit of Putrid Blight Kings with him, does this count as setting up 1 unit or 2 units? It counts as setting up a single unit. Not sure what that comes into effect, but yep. Beast of Chaos, Errata. As mentioned, it's got the Allegiance ability, like can't gain another different keyword from a beast herd or whatever they are. And points changes to this. A lot of the Warherd stuff changed, which is cool because I'm a big fan of the Minotaur models. So Cygors, Gorgons, and Bulgors, and Doom Bull all went down. The Doom Bull down to 100 points is sweet, and Gorgons down to 160 is really nice as well. Like they look solid at that points value. Which is cool. All those people running Warherds armies, your army just got a bunch cheaper, like Massive Plus. Can't hate on that at all. The designer's commentary for Beast of Chaos, I didn't remember seeing anything, and no, there wasn't anything in that either. Idoneth Deepkin, the Errata, High Tide. In this battle round, units with the Tides of Death battle trait fight at the start of the combat phase. There's a lot more in that now. I'm not going to go into all the Activation Wars stuff here. There is a much better explanation if you go look at Warhammer Weekly, their FAQ reaction video. I think it's a couple of weeks ago now. Go look at that. They have a diagram of how the Activation Wars is starting to work, and it really only comes into play when you're playing Activation Wars versus Activation Wars. If one player's got Activation Wars and the other doesn't, it doesn't really play out, and it of course doesn't if neither player has. But it's a really interesting way to see how it's happening, and I don't particularly think it's a bad thing. It's pretty simple once you get the idea of it. But anyway, go over to Warhammer Weekly, watch the episode. They'll explain it really well. And yeah, that's much better than I could ever do. They had a diagram and everything, so go look at that. So points-wise, Kelly and Leviathan dropped down. The Eidolons both dropped down as well, which is cool. They probably still need to come down a little bit more on both of them. They are fantastic models though, but the total is looking better at 310. The Eidolons are probably still too pricey at 360, 380. They realistically need to drop like another 60 or 80 points, I think. The Alapex dropped to 100. That's really cool. I think you're going to see sharks on the table. A guy over here in Australia, Ben Spinetti, has been running sharks and run like a heavy shark meta. Is running like 4 or 8 sharks or something ridiculous, and doing quite well with them. So now the fact that he's just saved, I think he can buy an extra 2 sharks for every 2 he's bought. Almost, yeah. You're going to see some sharks on the table, I reckon, which is cool. Like, they're one of the coolest models in the range. Glad to see they're actually going to be on the tables a lot more. There is a bit of FAQ on the Idoneth. How does High Tide work when both players are Idoneth fighting each other? It's the players whose turn it is attacks with all their stuff, and the other player then attacks. It's just a simple ruling for it, and it's cool. It's nice and clean. I like it. If I use Sands of Infinity when a wizard casts Riptide, what happens to the unit I picked to be the target of the spell? You subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by that unit until your hero phase after the next. At the start of your hero phase after next, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Cool. I'm not too sure on what that is, but so you know. Do the Sylvaneth units in the Alliance of Wood and Sea receive the benefits of any enclave the army belongs to? No, with the exception of the Emissary of the Deep Places command trait. And that's it for there. Obviously, that last one is that's the Iron Rack, the generic one that allows you to give allegiance ability to the Iron Neft to the other dudes, the ally in. Gloomspike Gitz, Errata. Don't believe there's anything. However, there are some points changes, and it's all to the Arachnaroks. Arachnarok spider with Flinger, and all of those, they all come down, which is cool. All the spiders came down. I believe that's it for them. Points changes, designers commentary. I don't think there's much in here either. No, there isn't. There was just some points changes on the spiders, which is cool. The core rules. Do we have any changes in the core rules? I'm just having a scroll through now. Don't believe there are many changes in the actual core rules. Here we go. If two abilities apply to a unit at the same time but are contradictory, how do you determine which ability is used? Now this is where we got in the diagram that I directed you to. It's effectively the last one to be used takes precedence. So definitely go look at that diagram from Warhammer Weekly. Much better than I can ever do. And this is just a standard ruling now. In a pitched battle, if a unit that is Behemoth can become a battle line, does this unit still count towards the total number of Behemoths that can be taken in an army? No. So that's just a flat rule now that they lose the Behemoth keyword if they become battle line, which is cool. I feel like that's redundant now that we've got more tribes anyway, but it's cool that that's the rule. Actually, so lose Behemoths, so that means like they don't count Behemoths for some objective. Oh, but yeah, I think that's changed. Yeah, it might matter in some instances. That worth remembering. Fire Slayers, Errata. Now these guys, from what I can tell, probably came out the best of anyone. Magmic Battleforge, Molten Blessing. Add the following to the license. You cannot use the Molten Blessing ability and the Spending the Forge ability from the same Magmic Battleforge in the same phase. The Battlesmith's Icon of Grimy. A unit cannot benefit from this ability more than once per phase. And the Doomseeker's Throwing Axe is increased from 1 to 8 inch. Points changes. Volkite Berserkers to 140. And Hearthguard Berserkers can only be taken in a maximum unit size of 20 now, but at 120 and 400. They dropped them down, and they should have just left them at the unit size drop. But instead they discounted them as well, and so now you're probably going to see like 40 of them rocking on a table instead of just the 30. And 2 blocks, so they can be in 2 places at once. I think that's going to be really good, but as always with Fire Slayers, it can only be bothered painting that many. So you're going to have diehard fans that run them and get better with them now. Probably not going to see many more of them, just because of what the army is. And in the FAQ for them, if a priest knows more than one prayer, can it attempt to chant each of them? Yes, as long as no other restrictions apply. And question, is the magic invocation a prayer? Answer is no. Flesh Eater Courts. So, Legion's ability battle traits are the same as always, because obviously the Underworld's Warband has a different, has a set Grand Court, so you can't give it another one. That's the same for all the Underworld's Warbands. And then points changes, Crypt Horrors went down to 130. Designer's Commentary. So you can double pile in when you die, so long as it's the first time you've attacked, I believe. Yeah. Cool. Skaven, Errata. Plague Monk's entirely a new scroll rework, much cleaner, much more fun to play with and against. And they got some increases. The Bombardier went up 20, Screaming Bell went up, Verminlord Deceiver and Verminlord Warpseer all went up. And Stormfiends can only be taken in maximum unit sizes of 6 now, which was probably the better unit size anyway for most people playing them. That's what they seem to say. Can we stop hitting Skaven now? I think they're fine. I don't really want to see them get hit much more. Legions of Nagash, all the Terrorgeist stuff just to match all the FAQs in Feck. Arkin went down, Manfred went down, Neferata went down, and Nagash went down. So Arkin and Nagash are back where they were pre-Bone Reapers. The other ones went down, and the Morghast just changed, obviously, in here to match the Ossiarch Bone Reapers. Designer's commentary for LON. I don't believe there is any. Oh, no. Nagash and Arkin know the spells that other wizards know. Can Hex Gorge Skulls make them forget spells? Only if there are no other wizards in range for them to relearn the spell from. I believe that's how everyone's running. You can't, because you forget it and then you automatically relearn it. Battletome Nighthaunt Errata. Points changes. The Black Coach came down to 220. Lady Alinda went down, and Kurdos Valentian, the Craven King, went down. Cool. The Black Coach actually is starting to look really good at the points value they dropped it to. And then they've got an FAQ. If I have regarding Murmur expansion, the ability Spell Leaders and its interaction with Endless Spell, specifically the part of all which reads, once in each of your hero phases, if this unit is within 6 inches of an Endless Spell, if this unit can attempt to dispel the Endless Spell in the same manner as a wizard, can this ability be used at any time during the hero phase? No, it must be used at the start. Just like any other wizard trying to do it. Blades of Corn, Errata. Reapers of Vengeance. Change the second sentence of the rules. Text 2. If you do so, pick one friendly Reapers of Vengeance Daemon unit hollow within 8 inch of a friendly Reapers of Vengeance hero with this command ability. So it's just some tidying up, I think, some rules there. Blood Crushers and Mighty Skull Crushers both went down. Probably Blood Crushers are looking okay. Mighty Skull Crushers probably still too expensive. Designer's commentary for them. It's just more. They've got Reapers of Vengeance stuff applying to that whole go look at Activation Wars and Warhammer Weekly stuff. If a priest knows more than one prayer, can attempt to cast it? Yes. Is a Judgment with Corner Prayer? No. Is the daemon keyword missing from Valkyrie the Blooded? No. It was omitted deliberately, despite her being an actual daemon. Warhammer Age of Sigmar core book. Gran. Shield of Thorns, the same friendly unit cannot be picked as a target of the spell more than once per turn. Cool, so you can't stack the mortal wound killing stuff on that. Daughters of Cain, Errata. Marathi, just to make sure she can't be killed. Then she only takes those 3 wounds and all that sort of stuff. Avatars went down, Bloodstalkers went down. Both will still never get taken. Designer's commentary for them. Don't believe there is, and there is nothing in there for Daughters of Cain. Orc Warclans. Errata, the Ardfist. You can't now spam the Ardfist, but you can now bring back units of any size. So you're probably going to go from seeing minimum unit spam to seeing large 30 blobs of Ardboys coming back. I'm not sure what's actually worse there. No points changes in Designer's commentary. Just more of that Activation War stuff. Cities of Sigmar. So this is the one, obviously, most of you are probably listening for. Hallowheart battle traits. The dice roll is now not what to use. It's the amount of mortal wounds taken. This is fine. We have access to multiple heals. It changes absolutely nothing in how I will play that list. And the only change really is Drakespawn Knights went down to 150, so they suddenly start to look interesting. Designer's commentary, yeah, there's nothing there. Stormcast, Errata, there was some cool stuff in this, and obviously this applies to Cities of Sigmar as well. They're just the evocators and all that sort of stuff only apply on the first time. Both Star Drakes went down, that's really good, and also the evocators on Draklines went down to 260, that's really solid. Stormcast changes are actually really good for Cities of Sigmar. And Drakespawn Templar is looking really good. For like a living city army. He looks really tasty. Designer's commentary for Stormcast. You don't get the non-moving bonuses for the long strikes in the hero phase shooting. And then it's just the General's Handbook, I believe. Yep. General's Handbook Errata. A bunch of points telling you that a bunch of points has been updated. We've gone through that. And that's that. And then it's Designer's Commentary. And just cleaning up that rule that was stupid about it must be in the General's Handbook or blah blah blah. Just saying if it's released later than the General's Handbook, it's legal. So that's it for the FAQ discussion. All the rules and all that sort of stuff that I've gone through. What are your thoughts of the FAQ? Mine are, it's probably one of the best FAQs we've had in a long, long time. It cleaned up a lot of stuff that was wrong and messy, and that didn't play like the rest of the game did, whether that be Haliheart, Slaanesh, Nurgle. It was good. Really solid FAQ, really happy with it, and more of these FAQs, please. You can argue that maybe it didn't fix everything, but if it fixed everything, I think it's better this way to not fix everything. You're better to fix off smaller parts at a time, because by fixing smaller bits at a time, we can see whether, fixing this and this all of a sudden isn't an issue, or did fixing this bring out another issue. And so you're able to see more changes. If you change everything at once, you just see more problems come in, and it all of a sudden and none of those problems make sense. While if you change bit by bit by bit, you can find all those problems and you can see better where the problems are coming from. So I reckon this is a really good FAQ. More of these, please, Games Workshop. Smaller, more concise, fixing problems that you know are problems. This is really good FAQ. A solid 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 even for me for this FAQ. So, now we come to the section that you've all been waiting for on the show, and that is the Mortal Citizens section. So I've decided to put all the Cities of Sigmar focused stuff in the section at the end of the show. And this will go through, obviously, my personal experiences with Cities of Sigmar and my thoughts on them. So I've seen a lot of talk on the Facebook groups lately about the 2-star collecting boxes that came out with Cities of Sigmar, and which one is a good access point for Cities of Sigmar, and are they worth it, etc. Are they good armies? Do they make good armies? Does it actually go with the army that I'll need to build that free city? Now, I make this clear at the start. Yes, I'm probably a little bit biased because I love Scourge Privateers, I love Elves, and I'm not that big a fan of Dwarves. Though I do like Gyrocopters, and I do think their character models are sweet. So with that, we'll start with the Greywater Fastness one. That is the Dwarden one. It contains a Warden King, a Cogsmith, 10 Ironbreakers, which can also be made into Iron Drakes, and a Gyro Bomber. And so, criteria for this to be good. I mean, this one doesn't particularly save you a lot of money. When you consider all things up, it's probably not as good a value as the Scourge Privateer one. It doesn't really have a big model in it, and it's got 2 characters that you probably don't need multiples of. You might need multiples of, I guess, the Cogsmith potentially, but and you can take multiples of the units. Obviously, multiple units of Gyrocopters are bad, not bad, good. And the Iron Breakers can be turned into Iron Drakes. Iron Breakers are good in themselves as nice, tough screens, and Iron Drakes are a really good hammer unit with some really good shooting output. Now, do they fit in Greywater Fastness? Well, one of them is the War Machine. Gyrocopters don't really benefit from much inside there because they're either too fast to fly away. They don't really stay with your lines and don't really get all the benefits around a Cogsmith. The Iron Breakers, Iron Drakes make great screens, as I mentioned before. Iron Drakes get a ton of benefits from being in Greywater Fastness. Some of the command abilities work on them and Free Guild Handgunners, so they're a good shout. Overall, though, this doesn't contain any actual artillery pieces, which is interesting. I would have put the Hellstrom Rocket Battery kit in this because it's an actual artillery piece, or a steam tank or something. It just feels like it's missing that Greywater Fastness thing. It doesn't have a piece of proper artillery. I don't think you need to rebuy the characters. I think yeah, and it's, of course, once you take one character out, it certainly loses a bit of value. And once you bought two of these, you're probably not buying a third because you're going to have spares of the characters, and it's probably cheaper to buy 2 units separate, I think. So yeah, it's okay. I wouldn't buy many of them. Like, you'd probably be better off buying 2 of them maybe, and trying to sell off one of the Warden Kings. It just doesn't feel as good as the other one, which we'll talk about now, which is Anvilgarde. This one I feel is much better than the Greywater Fastness one, and that's not just because I like Pirate Elves. 10 Scourge Privateers, a Black Ark Fleet Master, a Chariot, and a Charybdis. You can buy 3 of these and still probably go back and buy another. The Charybdis is worth a lot of money on his own. The Chariots and Privateers, like, they really do, like, the box set is really worth its money. The Charybdis and Chariot almost pay for it in itself, and you get the Privateers like half price. You probably can buy it, and because you can build the Charybdis as Hydras as well, you can actually buy lots of this box and make different armies with this box. Not necessarily different competitive armies, but you can make different armies to play. So you can buy lots of this and build a heavy privateer army. You can make one with some big units of chariots and lots of units of chariots, because the chariots are really good. You can buy a multiple Charybdis and even make some into the Hydra alternative, or even the chariots can be turned into the Drakespawn alternative, although probably not the best option. So you can build that Monster Mash list that can be run with the addition of like a couple of dragons. I do really think the Anvilgarde one is a much better starting point for anyone getting into Cities of Sigmar than the Greywater Fastness one. Yeah, and just better value. You got a big monster there to paint. You got a cool chariot. The character model is amazing. The Fleet Master and Privateer models, despite their age, are absolutely fantastic. They're multi-part kits. You'll never have a Privateer looking the same as another one. This one's really good value for my money. And yeah, so out of the 2 of them, I do think Anvilgarde is better. I think it's got more rebuy value for you, because you can use 2 or 3 Fleet Masters in the same list. That's really all I've got to say about them. They're both decent. Like, I'd buy one of each, maybe 2 of the Greywater Fastness, but the Anvilgarde one you can buy again and again and again and again. Because I think you can run, like, the list I worked out for the Monster Mash is like 8 monsters. So you could buy like 8 of that, and you'd use all the chariots, you'd use all the monsters, you'd use all the privateers. The Fleet Masters you might not, but you can convert them up into some cool champions. So, now that we're past that, we're going to talk about SAGT, which is my next tournament coming up. And I've talked a bit about it on the channel already. And so it stands for South Australian Grand Tournament. It's run by Michael from Doom and Darkness, and also the Wild Form, Weiss. They're 2 of my local players that run that, and it's going to be a ton of fun. 50 players, sold out in about an hour. Got about 25 local people and 25 interstaters coming for the tournament. It's going to be a ton of fun. It'll be my first dip back into competitive Age of Sigmar, because obviously I can't make CanCon this year. I can't leave the wife with 2 kids this year, and it's just not feasible too close to the wedding. But I've got plans for... I'm still not quite sure if I want to run Hallowheart. I like Hallowheart. I've got to see how it goes against a few more armies, so I'm going to continue testing it. I've also got the Anvilgarde list that I was talking about, and I think that might potentially be a list that I could potentially run. Living City is also an interesting army. I think I've got some plans in the works for Living City. There's also the Pistolier army and Tempest Eye that I potentially got. I could just run the Monster Mash list if I really wanted to, or a mixed Hammerhall force. I'm probably going to try out a bunch of them and see how they all go. I want to try out the Monster Mash list as well, even though it's probably not looking most competitive. I want to see if I just have fun running monsters across the table. And you can expect to see all of these on the channel, getting some games in and me playing them a lot. But yeah, what would you like to see me run? What army would you like? Would you like me to run Hammerhall, Privateers, a Living City army of some sort, Tempest Eye Pistolier heavy, or even the Monster Mash list from Anvilguard, or a mixed sort of Hello Heart list. Very similar to what I talked about in my first show way back when now. I'm really having a tough time to sell it. And so over the next few weeks, I'm going to be trialing out each one and seeing how they all go. Yeah, that's really all I've got to say on that, because I haven't played many games recently. I haven't had much experience with any different besides Hello Heart. Like, I know Hello Heart is good. I'm wondering if it stays the same. I'm pretty sure nothing much changes with any of those Hello Heart changes, so we'll see how that goes. And last little thing before we go, well, I'm going to be running a GT in Adelaide, South Australia, called the Cinderful District Grand Tournament. Tickets are going on sale on Sunday the 5th of January. The ticket cost will be $60. It'll be run at the Hilton RSL Adelaide on the 1st and 2nd of August. 2,000 points, 5 games, and all games to be set in the Cinderful District, aka that's in the Realm of Fire. So match is the name of the tournament. They'll be up real soon, so I hope it does really well. It should sell out pretty fast. If you're interested, please do go sign up. Anyway, so that's it for today. Thank you all for joining me on another episode of Mortal Citizens. I hope to hear from you all. Leave comments down below of anything you'd like me to touch on revolving around Cities of Sigmar and potential army list, what your thoughts are on what I should take to SAGT, your thoughts on the FAQ, and all that such stuff. Leave comments down below, give the video a like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Every subscription helps. Aiming for that 1,000 mark now that we're past the 500 point. You can support the channel on Patreon and Cinderful Gaming Patreon. And yeah, thank you all, everyone, for watching. We'll see you all again real soon. Ciao. Bye.